Hi, welcome to day 4 of our series 2020 Vision, Seeing the World Around Us Clearly. I've got a personal illustration today I was going to share. A couple of years ago, it was in late autumn and I was driving to Debenham. It was raining, it was dark, and as I went on my way, a car coming towards me had his lights on full beam, dazzling me, so I quickly flashed to indicate the problem and he dipped them and went on his way. So as I carried on down a small hill, a second driver coming towards me started flashing his lights, prolonged flashes 3 or 4 times. Now I assumed, as I was higher up the hill and the road was wet, that the lights from my headlights were reflecting on the road and dazzling him, and he did it again, 4 long flashes. So I did what any man would do, and I flicked my lights to full beam and dazzled him, and thought, there you go, that's full beam, see the difference? Anyway, I carried on down the hill, went round the corner at the bottom of the hill and ploughed straight into a massive flood. You can see my mistake, can't you? I felt very foolish as I realised that the car coming up the hill was simply trying to warn me of the impending danger that was round the corner. And I also felt sorry that I had responded in a pretty aggressive way to someone that was simply trying to help me out. Thankfully, I managed to get out of the flood without damaging my car, but I still feel bad a little bit about my miffed response to someone who was kindly just trying to help me, really. And later on that evening, as I was sort of reminiscing about the situation, it reminded me of how often we sometimes respond to God's warnings in the same way. We respond to the gospel in that same way. We hear that the Bible teaches that we're all sinners in need of a saviour, and we see it as an accusation rather than a loving warning, in the same way that I saw this guy flashing me as an accusation, him accusing me that my lights were on full beam. Really, he was kindly trying to warn me. God tells us that we're sinners not to accuse us, but to warn us of the dangers that it brings, and to provide a diversion to avoid the consequences of that sin. The Bible explains that even though we all do fail, God has made provision for us to provide us a way of salvation. Jesus has lived and died in our place, so that all who put their trust in him should not perish eternally, but should have real life and forgiveness for all of their sins and mistakes. So I hope, unlike me in my car, that when you hear the gospel message, you'll be able to see it as a kind warning rather than an accusation.